Greetings. This is the commentary and sermonette on the song All Day. This is number 182, and the date I have on this is October of 1999. This is a song that I did with my youngest daughter, Claire, and in this one, Claire sang with me. My first daughter, I had two songs I wrote for her. I don't know that she actually sang in either one of those. And I had another one for Claire that I never completed. I might have to look and see if I can find that. But at that time, she would have been almost 4 whenever I wrote this. And now she's recording this with me, and she's 28. So this would have been almost 25 years ago. And like I say in the very first part of this, Claire, are you ready to sing our song? And she says, yeah, I'm really excited. Well, your voice has changed a little bit, but let's do it. So you almost have to visualize, if you can, a little 4-year-old singing this song with her dad. So we're going to get into the lyrics, but before I do, with Christians there is sometimes a tendency to try to spiritualize just about everything. And I don't think it's always necessary to try to force that. I remember there was a book called Lectures on the Tabernacle, and every single element of the tabernacle, whether it's the garments the priest wore, the dimensions of the building, every single thing mentioned in this tabernacle was all spiritualized to mean something, bringing it into the new covenant as far as being precursors or clues about the Christ, the Anointed One, etc. And much of it, I felt, as I was reading through it, just became forced. And I think it even happens with numerology, perhaps. Hard to say. Maybe there's more there than I see. But I don't think it's necessary to try to force everything to be spiritual. And my oldest daughter and I had a conversation as far as music is concerned. And she mentioned that not all of my songs, even as a Christian, were Christian songs. And I think she alluded to this one. And I balked at that because I thought, no, it is a Christian song. But then really, if you listen to what the lyrics are, God is not brought up in this at all. So I think it can just stand for what it is, a dad with his daughter. And so I don't want to try to spiritualize this, but I do think I'm going to make some comments after I go through the lyrics that may lean in that direction. So let's just go through the lyrics and see what this was about. All day, listen to the children play. All day, listen to the children play. All day, listen to the children play. All day, you got to listen to the children play. Now, I had it where Claire joined me in the middle of this first verse. So it starts off very simple. And then I go to verse 2. All day, now Claire is singing with me, listen to the children sing. All day, what you supposed to do? And Claire answers, listen to the children sing. All day, and then she asks me, what are you supposed to do? And I say, listen to the children sing. All day, you got to listen to the children sing. Then I go into the chorus, and when I originally wrote this, it's all day, la 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 la, and I sing that through this whole thing. Well, Claire, as a little 4-year-old kid, she just, without even any hesitation, instead of going all day, la 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 la, she just started going all day, lengthened the whole thing throughout that entire chorus. And I remembered when she did that, I looked at her, and it just shocked me. But this is what she heard and wasn't taught. These are gifts from God. And I remember my oldest daughter, who also has a great voice. She's got a strong voice. It's more of like an alto, and Claire's like a soprano, I guess. And Stacy also has a stage type voice. She did plays and things, and golly, she'd be dancing and being lifted up and all this kind of stuff and singing. And never would the air rush out where it was off key or anything else. Somehow able, I don't know how she could do it, somehow to maintain that pitch and the volume correct. So there's different kinds of singing abilities and gifts with this. Well, Claire is more of this very high soprano, I'd say probably second soprano, maybe something like that. People that know all this knows more, maybe first soprano. But hers is a more delicate, gentle voice. There was a time that Stacy, my oldest daughter, and Claire, they're 9 years apart, they were in the car, and Stacy was singing some song or maybe something on the radio, and all of a sudden Claire started harmonizing to it. And again, she would have been a little kid, probably that 4 or 5 year old age somewhere. And Stacy said, Claire, do you realize you're singing harmonies? You're making up harmonies? Claire didn't even know. This thing about the arts, whether it's music or many other arts, or this creativity, somehow people hear things or see things that others don't see, and they're able to have this innate kind of angle come out to affect their arts. So Claire, she's just a little kid, and she started doing that all day, extending that chorus. So that's where that came from, totally from her. Then I go into my next verse. It's all day, watch the children dance. All day. What are you supposed to do, Claire? Watch the children dance. All day, Dad, what are you supposed to do? Watch the children dance. All day you gotta watch the children dance. And then both of us do the all day together, long in the chorus. All day you gotta listen to the children play. And then I move to a quiet verse. All night, shh, let the children sleep. All night, what you supposed to do? Let the children sleep. All night, shh, let the children sleep. All night you gotta let the children sleep. And then I repeat that with hums, and Claire came in as an adult and did, I don't know, just some tremendous harmonies with this thing. She came in last weekend from Colorado. When I go out there, she'll say, this is a non-negotiable, but I got to do this or that and the other. So when she was going to come, I said, this is a non-negotiable. I'm going to have this song ready, and I want you to sing it with me. Well, she gets in here, and it was probably 30 minutes, maybe, max. She did 4 different tracks, and I was able to edit it and put it together. And she got all these little intricate harmonies, and if she'd work with it more, no telling what else she might would come up with. So we do that, and then we go into the final verse, which is just a repeat of the first one. All day, listen to the children play. All day, what you're supposed to do, listen to the children play. All day, listen to the children play. All day, you got to listen to the children play. And then again, she does harmonies through this thing. I just love what she comes up with. But as I was looking at this, the structure of it, for a little child, I'm very happy with how this came together, because you can do something that's just very simple and same thing repeating over and over. But for a little kid, this song, the way it's constructed, poses a lot of little different scenes and a lot of different challenges. The first 2 verses, and it's listen and listen. So you're focused on that. And then the chorus and the la-la-las, so that's something different, or holding it the whole way. And then I go into just one verse, and it's this time, watch the children dance. So now this is a completely different thing. And then I'm also interjecting, what are you supposed to do? And then she's interjecting back, Dad, what are you supposed to do? Then I go back into the chorus, and then that way we're holding the whole thing long. Claire even did a few little, not harmonies, but added some extra notes in that second go around. Then I do 2 verses to end it, which the first one is where you're being quiet, and it's hand motions about, shh, like that. So with a little child, you're teaching them how to sing strong and how to back off and how to emphasize different things and going into a chorus. So it's really pretty complicated, I think, for a child, which would challenge them to be more nuanced rather than just singing on one level and that kind of being it. This is introducing a lot of different levels. It's almost like with the guitar itself. If somebody asked me to help them learn how to play the guitar, one of the first things, in fact, it is really the first thing that I say to them before we even would start messing with it. I'll ask them, what kind of instrument is the guitar? I'll ask you that. What kind of instrument is the guitar? What do they call it? Well, it's a stringed instrument. Whether it's a 6-string, whether it's a bass with 4 strings, whether it's a 12-string like I play, they're stringed instruments. Okay. But they're also something else that is very, very important. It's also a percussion instrument. It'd be a secondary level. What do I mean by that? In order to get sound out of that instrument, you have to strike the strings. Some people play the guitar and it's just a strum back and forth. It's the same thing over and over from beginning to end. And I want individuals to learn how to coax different sounds from the percussion side out of this instrument. I've got some songs where it's maybe, two or three chords through the whole thing. And yet, because of what I'm doing on the percussion side, sometimes it'll be finger picking, sometimes some flat picking, sometimes a combination of a type of flat pick, sometimes by the bridge, sometimes you can be in the middle, and you coax different sounds out of it, different volume levels. So that's why even with this song, some's finger picking, then it goes into strums, and then some backs off to very light strums. So my point is that the guitar, yes, stringed instrument, but it's also a percussion instrument, and that is as important as any other element of being able to play in a way that brings a lot of variety. So I think with that, I was very pleased with this song, and of course as an adult I really like what Claire did with it. It's just too bad that at that time I wasn't able to record this with that little old 4-year-old voice singing with her dad. But maybe her older sister can do that with Eden, who is now 2.5, or Claire, who is now pregnant. Maybe it'll be her child. Actually, all she's got to do is put a different track down. It could still be my guitar just like it is, and me singing what I do, and then have her little one fill in the blanks. So now I'm gonna spiritualize this. Children. Does the Bible say anything about children? Well, yes, many times it's talking about actual children, but many times it's talking about full-grown adults, referred to as children. Now, think of the Old Testament. It's the what of Israel, the children of Israel, talking about the whole group. Listen to this. Jeremiah was lamenting over what was coming Judah's way, or maybe by this time it already had. But this is God speaking. For my people are foolish. They do not know me. They are stupid children. They have no understanding. They are shrewd to do evil, but to do good they do not know. So full-grown people that are shrewd in evil, he says you're children. From his viewpoint, men are just children down here. But the children rebelled against me. They did not walk in my statutes, nor were they careful to observe my ordinances, by which if a man observes them, he will live. If a man observes them, he just called them children. These children rebelled against him. They profaned my Sabbaths. I resolved to pour my wrath on them to accomplish my anger against them in the wilderness. He's talking about all of those that came with Moses initially. So these were children that are adults. Well, in the New Testament, when Peter is warning about false teachers, here's part of the description. They have eyes full of adultery that never cease from sin, enticing unstable souls, having a heart trained in greed. We're talking about adults that are taking advantage of people in very shrewd, calculated ways, very dark ways, very matured in darkness ways, having a heart trained in greed, accursed children. He calls them children. Forsaking the right way, they've gone astray, followed the way of Balaam, who loved the wages of unrighteousness. True little children, do they love money? Do they love all that? This is about full-grown people that he calls children. From God's viewpoint, they're all children. By this, the children of God and the children of the devil are obvious. Children of the devil. Right now, this coup that has occurred in our nation, these individuals that are involved in this, they think they are really mature saboteurs and just brilliant, conniving, whatever. He calls them children of the devil. By this, the children of God and the children of the devil are obvious. Anyone who does not practice righteousness is not of God, nor the one who does not love his brother. These are full-grown people that are children of the devil. Now, having said that, right in the very first part of the part talked about the children of God. You know that everywhere God refers to Christians as children, like here, very into John's first letter, he says, little children, guard yourselves from idols. He's talking to Christians, adults. It's even babes that he calls his children. Listen to this. At that very time he rejoiced greatly in the Holy Spirit and said, I praise thee, O Father, Lord of heaven and earth, that thou didst hide these things from the wise and intelligent or prudent, and didst reveal them to babes. For thus it was well pleasing in thy sight. To babes. Talking about those who get converted, who come to him. Therefore, putting aside all malice and all guile and hypocrisy and envy and all slander, talking to adults, like newborn babes, long for the pure milk of the word, that by it you may grow in respect to salvation, being born again we're babes, and the best we're going to be is his children. You grow in respect to salvation. So we don't stay as babes, but that's how we all start out. Our ego and pride does not like that. But there is just tremendous balance with this. Brethren, do not be children in your thinking, yet in evil be babes, but in your thinking be mature. That was Paul talking to the Corinthians. We are to expose darkness and dark deeds, but he wants us to have our mind on things that are true, honorable, pure, right, things of excellence, anything worthy of praise. You let your mind dwell on these things. So we don't have to get into all the deep, dark crevices of what people are doing that is evil. You need to know that down that path is an evil path, but you don't have to subject yourself to it. We only have so much time that we're here anyway, and he wants us to put our minds on positive things and on his word, focus primarily on that, and we don't need to be going down these dark paths, but we're to not be fooled by it either, because he says, do not be children in your thinking. Paul said at one point, when I was a child, I used to think as a child, reason as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. So we're not to be children in our thinking, yet in evil we are to be babes. You don't go down those things to have to expose them. You can point to it and that whole thing is a bad trail to go down. And the way that Jesus phrased it, along this same line, he said, I send you out as sheep in the midst of wolves. Therefore be shrewd as serpents and innocent as doves. How can you be shrewd as a serpent unless you know the thinking of that serpent? The thinking of evil that goes down that way. So you don't want to participate in it, and I think you need to put the brakes on how far you go down that. But you got to go far enough to know what is evil, whether it's in some kind of teaching or whatever, but you don't have to just flood yourself in it. When Jude says, and have mercy on some who are doubting, okay, people that are doubting, we need to get in there and reason with them. We do persuade men. Save others, snatching them out of the fire. Which means some people we just need to flat out warn them of the path they're on, that there's nothing down there but death. We don't have to get that involved in it. We already know exactly where it's going. But he says, and on some have mercy with fear. One translation says, mingled with great caution, loathing even the garment polluted by the flesh. We've got to watch ourselves because some of these things could even tempt us. So we do still confront that, and we do still work with the people to help them get out of it. But we got to be very careful we don't get caught up in that. That's a very important point, and I think that goes along with all this about being shrewd as a serpent, being babes in evil, but in our thinking being mature. We have to keep our guards up. We have to put protections. We got to know ourselves to some degree and not fool ourselves that we are stronger than what we actually are. And even though we're children, even babes, I love this. Be on the alert. Stand firm in the faith. Act like men. Be strong. Even with the Israelites being children, there was one point he said, as for you, my sheep, which would be again like a very vulnerable, like a child. The sheep of my pasture, you are men, and I am your God, declares the Lord God. So, children, yes. Innocent in evil, yes. Naive, no. But getting back to children and my song, let's tie it up with this. At that time the disciples came to Jesus saying, who then is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? A man among men. And he called a child to himself and stood him in their midst and said, truly, I say to you, unless you are converted and become like children, you will not enter the kingdom of heaven. Whoever then humbles himself as this child, he is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven, and whoever receives one such child in my name receives me. But whoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to stumble, it is better for him that a heavy millstone be hung around his neck, and that he be drowned in the depths of the sea. Woe to the world because of his stumbling blocks. It's inevitable that stumbling blocks come, but woe to that man through whom the stumbling block Unless you're converted and become like children, you will not enter the kingdom of heaven. I think it is a worthwhile exercise to observe children and bring that into our faith. There is a simplicity and purity of devotion to Christ. You can go as deep as you want to go in massive amounts of knowledge in areas of seeking out wisdom and understandings from God. The depths of God. Paul at one point, as he's discussing Israel and all of his salvation plan and what God was doing, all the depths of the riches of his wisdom. It's unsearchable. His ways are past finding out. So you can go as deep as you want to go, but there's also a simplicity and purity of devotion to Christ. So what might we want to do as far as observing children? Well, maybe we ought to listen to children as they play. How do they play? I know when I was at a children's home, speaking of children, as a house parent, if some kid came up to me crying when it was a playtime for everybody, I'd go back there and say, look, what's going on here? Because if everybody isn't having fun, somebody's not playing right. And we got to find out who's not playing right. And I'm going to have to teach you how to play because everybody should have fun. We need to listen to the children play. How about listening to them sing? I loved listening to Claire as a little kid. Did my heart good. Stacy as a little kid. Did my heart good to listen to them sing. When you're singing, it's a whole different realm of reality. And nothing else even exists at that point. So to observe children in this simplicity of playing and playing right, where everybody's having fun, of singing, maybe we ought to listen to that. Maybe we ought to contemplate that. Maybe we need to imitate that. Have fun, but not at somebody else's expense. Sing to the Lord, where nothing else matters. Watch the children dance. The joy that they have with dancing. We can learn from children. We are to be children before the Lord. We're not some big shot that's got to try to impress him. We're his children. Let the children sleep. Maybe there are times we need to let our brothers and sisters alone. Let them have their space. Let them rest. Maybe we need to rest. We are not going to save the world. We're not going to save anybody. We trust the Lord for that. We make our requests known, but only He knows how to pierce the sin veil that encompasses every human being that's come to an age of accountability. He says our sins have made a separation between us and our God, between each individual and God. This sin barrier, it closes over us and we become dead under it. We're enslaved in it. We're blinded by it. And sin is an impregnable veil that we cannot break out of. Sin is the most powerful force in the universe next to God himself. Satan is encompassed in his sin. He's come to the earth full of wrath, knowing he has but a short time. He knows he is going into eternal fire. If he had any sense, knowing he has but a short time, he would do everything in his power, like the king of Nineveh did, to have all of his troops stand down and start begging God for mercy. Who knows, maybe he'll relent. But no, he's come full of wrath. His sin has him enslaved, and it is his master. Only God knows how to pierce this veil of sin over us as humans to shatter those chains and to bring us to himself. I am trusting that everyone that hears this video, hears my songs, enters in my life in some way, that God is going to use me somehow in this deliverance process. I don't care how, I don't care when it happens, just that it happens. But I am under no illusion that somehow it's up to me to make this occur. Yes, we persuade men, we answer questions. If anybody wants to talk about these matters, I'll spend as much time as I can and as they want. But I also know I'm looking past them because it's the Lord who opens up the minds to understand the scriptures. Didn't he do that with his own disciples? After he rose from the dead, he opened up their minds to understand the scriptures. They didn't open their own minds up. Paul wasn't going along on the road to Damascus and decided, I'm going to strike myself down from heaven with the blinding light. It's the Lord that pierced his sin veil. He did it that way. He does it in other ways. It's a place and time of His choosing, and that's what we are praying for. As His children, we're trusting Him. Don't children trust? To fulfill our hopes and desires, as well as protect us, encourage us, nourish us, train us, and teach us great and mighty things that we do not know. Let's end with that. And like I always say, listen. And you listen to Him, you're going to learn great and mighty things that you do not know. I mean, things that you haven't even thought about. Subject matters that have never been on the radar. You start seeking Him. And like I've said in one article I wrote, I look back on my own life and I'm amazed at the situations that God brought to bear in my Christian life that caused me to start to search out some topic. God will do the same thing for you, whether it's some topic you need to know about or some work that He moves us into. It's amazing how He does this with us, and He's decided to use us in this matter, even though He's the one that instigates all of it. The teaching, the understandings we have, the works that we do, He's behind all that. And it's like, you're going to reward me for that? You've got to be kidding me. You're the one behind it all. And He says, yeah, I'm going to reward you for that. The key is, that's where free will comes in. We listen and obey. And if you will submit, yield to Him as He teaches you as best you know how, whatever He's communicating, it always leads to life. It's the only way it can go. His kingdom will be expanded. You will grow in the faith. And you will indeed live